What's happening, everyone? We have a really interesting and important video for you today. It's something that is very close to my heart, and I am honoured to say that Robbo from the Spirit of Shankly is here to help me go through it. Robbo, how are you?
I'm good, mate.
Mate, thank you for finding the time for this. This is something that I think it's so important that we talk about. Obviously, you've got a role at the Spirit of Shankly. To anybody that doesn't necessarily know what your mission is, what your priorities are, what exactly do you do at the Spirit of Shankly?
Well, first of all, Spirit of Shankly is the official Liverpool supporters trust. We're recognised by the club. We make up the majority of the supporters board. The supporters board was something Spirit of Shankly pushed for that's almost like a legacy of the Super League proposal post that, which Liverpool were obviously a part of, or more accurately the owners were. We said, there needs to be something set in stone that you listen to your supporters. This should be the case at all clubs, and this is what supporter groups across the country are pushing for. Representation in the running of our clubs, because we've seen over the years plenty of sets of owners who have mad ideas about what a club should be, what league it should play in, what kit it should play in. And slowly but surely, those things are getting protected by various methods. And it can be done. It just needs people to have the will and the belief that they can change things, and they can. It's been proven over again. I mean, we've still got £30 tickets for anyone going to an away game in the Premier League. That is because supporters came together, lobbied the Premier League, protested, kept knocking on the door, and eventually they listened. So all of these things, they can be stopped, they can be opposed. But I just feel that supporters really do need to wake up. I mean, I think we'd all love it if it was run in a sustainable way, in the right way, if it was protected almost like a national trust property. But right now it isn't. We might be heading towards it. We've got to regulate it and things like that.
The problem that we have,
but it needs fans to push at the door as well.
Absolutely. Fans have to protect their club. But the problem that I think we have is you've almost got the enemy from within. So if you use Chelsea as an example, I feel like the people who own Chelsea, I feel like the ownership of the club currently are actually trying to erode what the club represent, who the club are. I think they're actually trying to change. Like, in a very small way, some would say that I'm making a mountain out of a molehill here now. They now are insisting on playing, that Chelsea Dagger Fratelli song after we score a goal. Like, that just isn't the culture of Chelsea, right? So that, in a very small way, I feel is eroding who we are. We don't do that. We mock Queen's Park Rangers for playing pig bag after a goal. I remember when Bolton Wanderers used to play I Feel Good when you were at the Reebok, and it was absolutely comical.
People running with a flag.
Yeah, it was comical. It was so far away from what football in this country is supposed to represent. And they're doing that. You'll very rarely see the word Chelsea written at Stamford Bridge now. Everything is CFC LDN. Again, I feel like there is an erosion of what we're supposed to be, and it's happening from within. So whilst I agree with you completely, supporters have a responsibility. Supporters have to be doing what we can. And there is a petition at the moment to stop playing music after a goal. Is the bigger problem here that the decision makers seem to be intent on taking the game in a different direction?
That's what it seems to be, doesn't it? Like I say, it seems there's a crackpot idea every few months at times, and your owner once at one point was going on about North v South and at a football match. And the idea that
if the South are some unified bund, as if I'm ever going to support a team with Tottenham players in it, as if I have anything in common with someone out of Southampton.
And it's bananas, the idea that Liverpool will play a home game in Melbourne in January. It's all fantasy stuff. But the chairman of Liverpool very recently came out and was saying exactly that he would like to see a Premier League game played in New York or Riyadh or wherever else, he said. And it's like, why do you feel empowered to talk about the culture of our game in that way? You're just holding the keys, but the club's existed since 1892.
Yeah, you're a custodian.
Exactly.
You don't own anything.
You're not here forever, and the fans are here forever. So that constantly getting this point across, constantly being organised, constantly getting the message across to other fans, getting them to join up, getting the message across to journalists and getting them on our side. Like, I feel last year, more than any time I've ever known it, fans of rival clubs now are coming together, and that is really key. That is when the power brokers in football get worried, because we did some demonstrating Spirit of Shankly with some of the United fans on the day we were playing them.
Symbolic, isn't it?
Exactly.
That's so symbolic.
That's our
you
rival.
And United. Yeah,
that's our rival on the day we are playing them, and we're taking time out to protest against ticket prices on that day. And we got some fantastic coverage, and I know that it hit inside the club. I know they were like, what is this? Why is that there? Why are you talking about in the Guardian, ticket prices going up this much on a day when this big football match is taking place? And the reason is because we care, because we want the game to be accessible to the community. We want the game to be accessible to the next generation of fans. We don't want them to nick a phrase, growing up thinking football's a TV programme.
But you see, it's so important as well, because if you're a fan of Liverpool, say if you're a fan of Liverpool or a fan of Chelsea, and you're a fan of the club, but you don't necessarily live in this country, or you don't go to what you love about the club, I'm assuming here, and anybody watching this video can comment if you're watching from abroad and you're a Liverpool fan or a Chelsea fan or whoever, you love the club for what it is. Like the reason why you live in Boston and you grew up in America, but you support Liverpool and you love Liverpool, is because of the images that you witnessed growing up of Anfield in full. Like, why would you want to move that? Like, if I wanted, on some very superficial level, right, I like basketball, right? If I ever wanted to see Sacramento play, I wouldn't want them to play in England. I'd want to go and experience the culture in its truest form. I don't understand why they're trying to kind of dilute what it's meant to represent.
It's madness, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine, obviously I'll use the example of Liverpool over and over, but could you imagine Liverpool playing a competitive Premier League game that, nominally is a home game, but it isn't at Anfield? Anfield's silent. The lights are off, the cop's empty, and they're playing elsewhere. These jet-lagged footballers kicking a ball around in front of people thousands of miles.
I don't know who wants it. That's the thing. Apart from making money, I don't see who benefits from this at all.
It's mad, isn't it?
Because I don't think the game benefits. I don't think the clubs benefit. I actually don't even think the fans benefit, because I don't think you're going to witness what you think you're buying into. You think you're witnessing a competitive game of football, watching Liverpool play in the Premier League, but you're not. Liverpool aren't playing in the Premier League. They're playing in this like weird spectacle fixture. Nobody's benefiting apart from the people making money.
And ultimately, if 14 sets of ownerships of Premier League clubs come together and say they want to do something, they can do it, essentially. And so do you know what they've got?
So they need 14. Do you know how many?
There's 11 clubs, I think it is, currently in the Premier League where there's an American majority. So you can quite see how that could sort of go wrong fairly quickly. So
they're doing it at Chelsea all the time. Do you know what they've done with our Champions League games? You had to buy your season ticket. You have to buy all of them. So suddenly, I think they're priced, by the way, at £71 a game.
Seeing this, yeah.
So all of a sudden, you have to find that money and buy the lot in one lump. Like, how wealthy do they think people are? And also, some people, you sit in a family of 3, 4. You've got to pay how much money? Like in one lump, like that. Like maybe I want to go to the Benfica game, but I don't necessarily want to go to the Ajax game. I'm allowed to do that. Surely it's my seat, but you're not. You buy them all, or you lose them all. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, there's loads of stuff that's going on. We have meetings where it's not just Spirit of Shankly, it's supporters groups from all over the country, and they'll all be reporting different things that are happening at their club, and almost every set of supporters seem to have something that worries them, a direction of travel they worry about. I mean, for us, you said before that we're perhaps one of the more organised fan bases, but even at Liverpool, the stuff that's gone on that we're not happy about. I mean, 18% of the ground is corporate offer now, and when the new Anfield Road stand was built, there was talk of 1,000 tickets for young people. It didn't happen. It didn't happen.
When Arsenal moved, obviously I'm from North London. When Arsenal moved, one of the ways that they managed to kind of massage this to make it more palatable for Arsenal fans was local tickets, cheap local. It didn't happen. It's just a complete lie.
Like I say, it's across the league. West Ham targeting concessions, Tottenham targeting concessions. Everton, they've moved stadium, but they've now put the prices up accordingly. And one thing that I think is really stark about where Everton, the part of Liverpool where Everton have built their new multi-million-pound stadium. It looks fantastic. It looks great. It's right on the docks. It's right on the Mersey. It's also in the most deprived ward in the country. And I always think, how sad is the idea that you could have kids literally opening their curtains every day, seeing that stadium, thinking, I will never set foot in there.
It's just
it's not right, is it? And,
no. I will literally never be able to afford. The only way I'm going to get in that stadium is if I'm a brilliant footballer. It's mental. It's absolutely mental.
And
who's it for?
Exactly.
Who are you building a stadium
exactly.
for?
And if we go back to the history of the clubs, the people traditionally filling the grounds, I'm not against the idea at all of what you've just said about people want to come to Anfield or want to come to Stamford Bridge. They want to tick it off the bucket list, whatever. But equally, as you say, surely they want the culture that I'm talking about to survive. Like, do you want the cop to be raucous? Do you want to see flags and banners? Do you want to hear You Never Walk Alone and all the other songs? Or do you want it to be essentially a popcorn event? Do you want it to be like Real Madrid?
If you are a tourist who wants to experience, for example, I went to a Seville game, right, when I was in Seville, I tried my best to get in with their ultra. I want to be part of what they consider to be the most dedicated. Like, if you are the tourist going to a game, you don't want to sit with people like you, do you? Like, if I, fingers crossed, right, I might be going to Argentina. If I go and I get to the game at the Bombonera, the last thing in the world I want to do is sit with other people. I want to sit with them. I want to witness them making all the noise, doing the chanting the way they do it. Why on earth would I want to go and sit with a load of English tourists like me?
And there's a constant comparison as well, isn't there, that we see where it's like, well, NFL or whatever, that goes on the road and is played in London and all this kind of stuff. But this isn't NFL.
I don't care about that.
This is something that's existed since the 1880s and is just fine, thanks. And why does it constantly need to be ripped up or reinvented in the name of cash? So, the idea of us coming together, constantly opposing it, putting the messages across, it's growing and it's growing. It's fantastic what the FSA and all the affiliated groups are doing. And then we've actually got something coming up in November. It's something I've personally been involved in, worked a lot on it, which is the idea of a blueprint for the future of football fans. Now, this is a slightly tongue-in-cheek for anyone that remembers when the dawn of the Premier League, there was a document which you can read online, which is quite mad to read actually, about the blueprint for the future of football. Now, this was essentially like a sort of marketing agency looking at football then and saying, this is what you could do with football. And it's all about attracting a different class of people, attracting families, and essentially, marketing it as a product, making it bigger, more global, all the things that have happened essentially. This document that I helped to put together is more about, okay, how do we stop this direction of travel that is worrying so many supporters? We shouldn't be just disregarded as legacy fans like we were with that European Super League proposal. These are people who are generational fans who absolutely love the club, love the cities that the club are in, and want our traditions to remain and want English football to remain special. So this document that I've helped to produce is actually going to be launched at a parliamentary group in November, all being well, looking like it will be well. And then the idea is maybe as fans we can pierce the bubble a little bit and speak to people that maybe don't realise that any of this is really taking place under the nose, because a lot of it is very drip feed, very gradual, prices just creeping up, categorizations of games, being sneaked in through the back door, membership, the idea that you have to be a member to buy a ticket, you have to be a member if someone wants to pass you a ticket, all of these little things slowly erode and making it harder and harder for a certain subset of fans to go to the match. I think there'll be plenty of people out there who aren't even aware that these things are there, that these threats are there. So this is about putting it all in one place, putting it in a printed document, and maybe getting it to MPs, to peers, to pundits, to people who've got influence in football, but maybe just don't see these concerns that we see.
No, it is so important. And to anyone who loves a game, this is just happening right before your eyes, without even realising it. Like this ownership at Chelsea, I just don't get it. I don't get how anyone can be on board with it. I really don't. The only people I think are on board with it are the people that they're paying. Daniel Finkelstein in the Times or whatever seems to be very complimentary. He's got a job there. It's appalling what's happening, and the way that football fans are being treated, it's something that we have to come together and certainly try and fight back against. And this is brilliant work, Robbo, man. Really, really wish you well.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, and look, it's the idea as well that, you know, you speak to your fans on a regular basis. Some clubs are good at it, some clubs are bad at it, and some clubs are in between. But you know, some stuff that we're pushing for as well is that you're permanently talking to your fan advisory board, that you have a fan advisory board, that you take it seriously what the fan advisory board tells you. And what I always don't get with it is, why wouldn't you want a good relationship with your most loyal fans? Why wouldn't you want to have them on side? Because when they're not, you're all over all over the newspapers. You're all over the media for the wrong reasons. Look at what's happening at West Ham.
Yeah.
You know, so why would you want that? Why would you want to go in a direction that alienates some of your most loyal supporters? Because surely, you know, if you've had a nan and a granddad, a mum and dad, and then the kids, and they've all supported one club, and they've all been match goers, and they've all poured their lives and souls into that club, if the most recent of that family can't afford to go anymore, why would you want to cut that off?
Yeah, I know, the lineage ends. Yeah.
It's
baffling. It's worrying, and this sounds like it sounds like a very valiant fight, and I wish you well with it. And if there's anything I can ever do, obviously let me know.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you so much. It's quite a worrying and depressing video, but one that was very important to make. So thank you to everybody for watching it. I hope you've not necessarily enjoyed it, but learned something. And if you want to know more, I'll put a link to all of Robbo's socials in the description so that you can find out how you can take the fight to your club if they're moving in the wrong direction. Nice one.